Let's talk about last night's Cowboys win over the Washington Redskins, 19-16. The final score on Monday Night Football. He's that win. I'm Jason Minix. And Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett joining us now, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds at 225-2121, online, mybestbailbonds.com. Coach, I'm guessing you didn't get much sleep last night. Congrats on the win.
Yeah, thanks so much. We appreciate it, and you're right. We didn't get a whole lot of sleep. I think we arrived about 5:00 in the morning, but it was a good win for our team last night. But we're on to Green Bay.
Coach, there's a lot of milestone that happens in the game. You got a chance to play with Michael Irvin, who's maybe the hardest working player that ever been around. Can you give a brief, a synopsis on Jason Witten, where he surpassed 1,000 catches in his career last night?
Well, I just think Witt's one of the most rare guys I've been around in football, and we've been fortunate enough to play and coach some great players, some Hall of Fame players, and I'll stack him up against anybody. He's just a rare guy, and his production, speaks for itself. Second tight end in the history of the National Football League to have 1,000 catches. His durability, the consecutive game streak that he has. No Cowboy has played more consecutive games. And I think if you think about those two statistics, the milestones that everybody's talking about, it has a lot to do with who he is as a person and the approach that he takes every day and the consistency and his desire to play at a high level and do everything he can to be his best. And he's a great example to us as coaches, great example to his teammates, and one of my favorite guys I've ever been around, just because of his desire to be great at everything he does. So a special night for him, and he's got a lot more football ahead of him. And we're excited to have him as a leader on our football team.
Yeah, I know you actually don't get to make the call, but you should probably just tell Jerry, hey, can we just put him up at the Ring of Honor last game of the year against Washington? Why not? Because he's going to get up there one day. But let's talk about last night's game. And Jerry Jones used the phrase, it was an ugly baby, but it's our baby. Just glad to get a win. You watched that game, and I want to get your thoughts on it. For about 57 minutes, it was... and then the last 3 minutes were so exciting, and it's like all of a sudden the offenses started moving, touchdowns were being scored. How is it coaching in a game like that where both defenses are playing so well, the offenses aren't able to convert on third down, get into the end zone, you get in this field goal battle, and you're trying to, as a coach, adjust here and there, and then all of a sudden you get all these touchdowns at the end?
Well, I think the biggest thing you try to do in a game like that is you just keep banging away and you keep hanging in there. And, I thought our defense did a great job throughout the game, making stops and not allowing them to get anything going, defended the run well. We affected the quarterback, just did a lot of good things, defensively to positively impact the game. Offensively, we didn't get anything going early on, but as the game wore on, I thought we ran the ball a little bit better. I thought we made some plays in the passing game. And, most importantly, in the critical moments of the game, we did what we needed to do. And, only had one takeaway, but it happened at a great time for us. In the minus territory for them, we take the ball over on the 15-yard line, and we're able to convert there. And then they have success coming back and score against us. But, again, our guys didn't blink. We got a really good return. Then Matt made some great throws to Dez to get us back into field goal range. And then you put Dan Bailey out there to kick a 54-yarder, on that surface in early December in Washington, and, he hits it right through the uprights. So, I thought at the critical moments of the game, we did what we needed to do to win. I thought we responded well to the adversities in the game. And really that's what teams that win these kinds of ball games do, and we were able to do that last night.
Seemed like the most obvious thing that I saw, Coach, was that you guys had a lot of rest, the 11 days since you guys played last, and the physicality of the game, the tackling of that defense was so phenomenal when I saw what you guys did last night.
Well, yeah, and, we talked about it earlier today, and I think you'd agree with this. There's never been a great defense that wasn't a great tackling defense, and there probably has never been a great player on defense who wasn't a great tackler. And if you think about all the great defenses, close your eyes, what's the trait that they had? They could tackle. They tackled in the running game. They tackle after they complete a pass. They get an opportunity to tackle the quarterback. They do that. And, I thought last night we probably had our best tackling effort of the year, and across the board. There were a couple missed tackles, but for the most part, we did a good job getting the guy down. We had a lot of people to the ball. And, there's a lot of hidden yardage that happens in a ball game when you don't tackle well. And then when you do tackle well, all that yardage kind of goes away, and a lot of your situational football gets better because those third down situations are a little bit longer for them to go. Those red zone situations are a little bit longer for them to go. And really it goes back to the basic fundamentally of tackling well. And I thought we did a good job of that last night.
Cowboys coach Jason Garrett with us here on ESPN San Antonio on the Wilkes Air Conditioning and Heating Hotline. You often use the term relentless spirit. Was last night a definition of what you mean by the relentless spirit?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably the trait that we admire most and we try to instill in our team. And I do believe that our team, for the most part, has demonstrated that over the course of this year. And you need to be relentless on each play, on each drive, throughout a game, and then over the course of a season. And really, it just means to not stop and just to keep coming and keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, and not to get there, not to kind of get back to neutral, but to keep coming and to make some gains as you stay after it. And I thought we did that last night. And I think more than anything else, to me, what I liked about what happened last night was how each of the different units picked the other ones up. Like I said earlier, early on in the ball game, our defense was doing such a great job. Our offense, couldn't get anything going, and then their offense started getting something going. Our special teams would make a play, and then when they scored on our defense late, special teams and our offense came back the other way. So if you can play that way as a team, where we're not going anywhere, we don't blink when we have adversity, we just keep coming. I think that's a great trait to have, as a football player, as a football team. It's probably a pretty good trait to have in life too.
Coach, last night, obviously, there was malfunction with the pads during the sideline. When was the last game you were involved with that you didn't have any photos or pictures of previous series to go over with your players?
I got to be honest with you, Dad. I can't remember it happening, and certainly not for the whole game. Sometimes something like that will go out for a series, or you won't have it for 5 minutes. But we didn't have it, the whole game, and it took a little while for us to get the balance the right way because they had it early on in the game, and eventually, when they realized that we didn't have it, they shut them down as well. Because you know as well as I do how valuable those pictures can be.
Yes.
You see things that happen during the game. You have a certain perspective on the sidelines. Your coaches up in the press box have a certain perspective, but oftentimes, what you think happens gets verified by those pictures, and you're able to communicate well and make the necessary adjustments with your team. And when those things are taken away from you, it can be challenging, but you have to do your best to take the notes, when they're happening on the play and communicate that to your players and just kind of move on. So it's a challenge, and, ultimately I think our guys did a good job handling the adversity.
Was that the reason why there was more pressure on the quarterback? You seemed like you guys brought more five-man pressure in this game than any game during the season.
Oh, I don't know that there's a correlation there. We were wanted to come into this game bringing pressure, and I think we got a sack on the first play of the game and a sack on the third play of the game. So, that was part of what we wanted to do against these guys, to challenge them a few different ways. Bringing some pressure was one of the ways, and I thought our guys did a good job. You can dial those calls up, but the execution part is critical. And guys getting in the right gap, the timing of it, when you do get a chance to hit the quarterback, cash in on that. I thought our guys did a good job across the board, really doing their job to make those pressures work.
Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett with us here on ESPN San Antonio, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. Coach, I really thought that Dez Bryant would be targeted more. He wasn't. Matt Castle seemed to check down a couple of times in that first half. Dez looked like he was pretty animated there on the sideline wanting to get the football. Was that something that Washington was doing to take away, or was Matt Castle just checking out maybe a little too early?
Well, we had some opportunities for Dez early on in the ball game. The first play, we had a shot, and we had a couple other shots early that we weren't able to convert on. And, you keep trying to call stuff for him. You keep trying to call stuff for Terrence. and for Witt and each of those guys. And then at the end of the day, the quarterback has to make the decision. You put the pattern up against the coverage and the matchup, and you work through it, and you make what you think is the best decision. And invariably, when you go back and watch the tape of a quarterback, really after every game, you say, well, you probably could have stayed with this a little bit longer, been more aggressive here. Or in some instances, you say, hey, you were a little too aggressive there. You probably should have checked the ball down. So that's just part of the process of playing and working through that to become a great decision maker. And, there are times that Matt gave Dez and some of the other guys a shot down the field and it worked out for us. Other times he thought it was best based on the look that he saw to check it down. And I do think that really quarterbacks every week are constantly, finding the balance between being aggressive and taking care of the football and doing the things that winning quarterbacks do by not turning the ball over. And, you work through that every time you have the ball in your hand. And, I thought at times last night Matt did a really good job of that. You go back and watch the tape, and sometimes you can help him make a different decision. But, in the end, I thought he handled it well and did what he needed to do at the end of the ball game, getting the ball to Dez Bryant. And those are the difference-making plays in the game to set up the game-winning field goal.
And you get the win last night. Now, as you said to start the interview, it's really already on to Green Bay. Good luck in Green Bay. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Guys, I always enjoy it. Have a great week.
Appreciate it. Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds, 225-2121, 225-2121, or online at mybestbailbonds.com.